Hello, 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 and welcome to a Rep Me Spooky Readathon TBR video. That's a mouthful, but I'm really excited because I am going to be sharing with you the books that I picked to read for our besties Spooky Readathon that starts now. I will be doing a dedicated video for this for those of you who are not participating so you can see me read these books. And because I am the host and it is part of the Rep Me Book Club realm, which I have over on Patreon, I do want to make sure that all of the books that I have some sort of representation in them. So I will mention that as we go through, along with the prompts for the bingo board that I'm trying to do a complete blackout without any duplicates. If you are participating, you do not have to be this strict. You do not need to get a blackout. You can double up on your prompts. You can be a lot more lax with stuff, but I thought it would be fun for me to really embody the spirit of the readathon as much as possible. So here we are. I'm super, super excited. Let's just dive into it. So I'm looking down at this bingo board here, which I put together for the readathon, and we're just going to go through each prompt and what I'm picking for them. Starting with the first one is to read a book by a BIPOC author. So I'm going to go with You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron. I try to make sure that each bingo would have a representation prompt and some sort of activity, and this is the first representation prompt. The next one is a book set in fall, and for that one, I am going with Nana by Brandon Macy, and this one starts off the opening pages in November, so I figured it would be a good fit. I don't know how long the fall vibes are for it, but it definitely does have spooky vibes, and it is written by a BIPOC author, so another plus for representation. Next up, we have Read the Buddy Read, Bury Your Gaze. This one we are going to be reading together during the Bessie's Reading Sprints this weekend on the 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday. We will read the first half on Saturday and the second half on Sunday, and we will be using the Discord spoiler feature to talk about the book as we are reading it. So if you're not interested in reading, you can still join the sprints and read whatever you want. But for those of us participating, we will have a dedicated place on Discord to discuss it. And I'm super excited. It was so fun when we did it in the last readathon. So I'm excited to see how it goes for this one as well. And this one has LGBTQIA+ representation. For Read a Novella, I'm actually going with the Rep Me Romance pick for this month, which is What the Hex by Alexis Daria. So there is also a dedicated space for this book specifically in the romance book club space on Discord. And it's a small romance that has witchy vibes. So I thought that was very suiting for October. And it is by a POC author. Then the last one on this is an activity, which is to post a book rec for the besties in like the Discord or somewhere that the besties could get it or see it. So that is how we pick for another one, which we'll get later. Next, a book with a spooky cover art. For this one, I went with the Illuma Crate Evernight edition of The Eyes Are the Best Part because, come on. That is definitely a spooky cover, and this is by Monica Kim. Yeah, we have a POC author, spooky horror vibes. I'm excited for that one. Then for a 5-star prediction, I'm going with The Reformatory by Tanana Reeve Dew, which is a BIPOC author. This is also the Besties Rep Me Horror Book Club's pick for October, November, and we will be doing a live show discussion about this in either the end of November or beginning of December, along with having a dedicated discussion group on Discord. So I am really excited about this, and I think I'm going to love it. Very tough topics, but I think it's going to be a good discussion book. And technically, I've already started it a little bit. don't at me. But I will be finishing it during the video, so you'll get some of my thoughts. Then for another activity, read a book in the dark. I'm not going to pick a specific book for that. Moving on, we have read a cozy book. And I decided to go with Soul of a Killer, a cozy mystery series by a BIPOC author. This is book 2 in the series. So I did enjoy the first one, and I'm interested in seeing how the series continues and how I feel about it as it goes on. Then for read a book with an underrepresented group, it could be any group that already has a dedicated prompt or anything else specific or different that you want. I decided to go with an anthology by Native American authors, Never Whistle at Night, which is a indigenous dark fiction anthology, and it's got an introduction by Stephen Graham Jones. So I'm excited about this. I have a couple of anthologies that we're going to be doing, so I think I'm probably going to try and read a story or two every day throughout the challenge, which I think is going to be a fun way to get through them. Next up, we have poster TBR, which can be in the Discord, in a video format, on social media, whatever works for you. Just post it somewhere where you can share that you're participating. Then I wanted to have a read a book with plus size rep. And for this one, I also went with the POC author that I've enjoyed before, and that is The Fall of Whit Rivera, which I have been saving for the fall season because for the spooky readathon, it's also fall related stuff. You do not have to do horror, thriller, scary, spooky. I just am leaning in that direction. This definitely has fall vibes and works perfectly for the challenge as well. And this is the third book in this series, although I believe it's more romance based, so each one is kind of like a standalone. I've enjoyed the first two. I'm excited to get around to this one. Love having a good fall book. Then for read anything spooky, this one is supposed to be more on the spooky side, but it could be something a lot more tame, like the other ones, which isn't necessarily a horror or anything, which I ended up reading in the past. But this is a good one because it's got LGBTQIA plus rep and it's super fall spooky vibes. But for me, I decided to go with Immortal Dark, and this is by a BIPOC author, and I'm pretty sure it's just like Black vampires, which I love. And it's got a tagline, a lost heiress, a soulless vampire, a secret drenched in blood. So yes, please. And I will go more into detail about what each of these are about in the actual reading vlog, so stay tuned for that. Then for a underrated book, I decided to go with Midnight Rooms. When I looked this up, there was only like 500 ratings / reviews on Goodreads, so I figured this would be a good fit for something that I haven't heard anybody talk about, and it is by a BIPOC author, and it's supposed to be a immersive horror fairy tale marrying Crimson Peak to Pan's Labyrinth upon strange foundations. Come on, sounds fun. So hopefully this will be enjoyable, and the cover art is sufficiently beautiful and spooky, so I'm here for it. Then for a supernatural book, I decided to go with If I Have to Be Haunted by Miranda Sun, a POC author. And I believe this is a YA fantasy romance of some sort. And there's ghosts and stuff. I'll haunt you for the rest of your life. You wouldn't dare try me. I have no clue. But it sounds like it's going to be a fun time, and I love spooky ghost stuff. Then for Read a Besties book rec. We've gotten a decent amount of book recs, but I didn't physically own any except the ones that I've already read. So I decided to do a reread of one of my favorites, which is When the Reckoning Comes. This is by a BIPOC author, and it has really beautiful writing, in my personal opinion, that really carried the story along with the messaging and the different things going on. I really loved it, and it's a very quotable book, but if you don't jive with the writing, it'll be more of a struggle. I wanted it to do more though, I will say that, but I still ended up loving it regardless. Next up, we have Read from a Favorite Author, and I actually struggled with this. So this author, I have loved every book that I've read from them so far, but I've only read one, so it's kind of a cheat. I'm hoping they will be a favorite author. We'll find out, and that is Gabe Cole Nova, and I'm going with The Diablo's Curse. And this is a trans POC author, and I am excited to read more from them because they ended up writing Most Ardently, which was a trans rendition of Pride and Prejudice, and I loved it so much. So excited to read more from them for sure. Okay, now for a disability rep, this one I struggled with the most. I have read The Whispering Dark, which would work very well for this spooky theme, as it is featuring a deaf character written by a deaf author. So I do recommend that. But I wanted to try something that I haven't read before, and this one, I did read the first couple of pages, and I feel like if that is what is considered, let me just tell you, it is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. King Fisher. Now, our main character in the first couple of pages, we learn that they are under a obedience spell that pretty much leaves them paralyzed for large periods of time. And they have experienced this for most of their life. And so it is a magical effect, and it's technically not a permanent thing, but it's something that they have lived with for so long that I feel like it would easily count for other people participating. Also, lost limbs work and things like that as well. I'm going with it. I don't know if there's anything else that counts within this story, but we're using it. Okay, hi, actually, we have an amendment. So I am currently reading for a completely different video, The Pallbearers Club, and talks about his experiences with scoliosis, among other things, and like the surgeries and things that he's had to do. Me trying to stick to the spirit of the prompts as much as possible for my TBR, I think this will actually fit better. So I'm going to be switching to this one. And then in my TBR tackle video, which should be coming out next week before we actually do the readathon, I'll be reading A Sorceress Comes to Call. So you'll still be able to see my thoughts on both of them. Hello, hi. Editing me here to slip in and say that I did in fact complete A Sorceress Comes to Call, and there is a character who has an injury and uses a cane, so this would have worked in the normal sense that I was thinking of, not just like a magical effect. But I am also currently reading Nestlings by Nat Cassidy, who has one of the character is in a wheelchair, so this would also work for the disability rep. Just wanted to poke in there if there's anybody else who is struggling to find that. After saying that I was having a hard time, I just keep finding book after book after book after book. So it's not that hard. It's just you usually don't know in advance, which is the bummer. So like they are out there. It's just hard to find them until you are in the process of reading them. Or at least that's been my experience. So then we have another activity, which is to just join in on the reading sprint. So if you read Bury Your Gaze and join us for the buddy read portion, you get 2 prompts marked off automatically. Then we have read the newest book on your TBR, and I took some liberties for this one. I basically have a pile of books that have come in over the past month or so, and I was just all like, okay, what has representation has come in this pile and has spooky-ish vibes. So it's not necessarily the most recent book, but it is a recent book and it counts. And that's going to be This Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings. Sapphic Black vampires, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong, but there says something about forbidden love and dangerous magic. Enemies to lovers, sapphic romance. A brilliant plot filled with mystery and heartache and history. Excited about this because this is written by a fellow booktuber. So hopefully I enjoy it. We have one more line to go. Next one is read your favorite genre, which for me is romance. So I thought this would be a good chance to read another anthology. This is Eternally Yours, and it's 15 stories of paranormal love to capture your heart and resurrect your soul. And I mean, like, look at this cover. Beautiful. Love it. It's going to be fun. And we've got stories from Kaylin Bayron, Kat Cho, Melissa Dela Cruz, Hafsa Fizal, Chloe Gong, So many. Alex Henderson and many more. I've been wanting to read that for a while. Excited for my chance. Then we have the activity of leaving a book review and then a book set in a different country. I decided to go with another Gabe Cole Nova book. And for this one, even though it is more pirates on the open sea, it is focused in the Caribbean. So I figured I could count that. And I wanted to read, like I said, more Gabe Cole Nova to see if they are actually a favorite author of mine. So hopefully I enjoy it. And then for our last book pick for read an LGBTQIA plus book, I am going with Now Conjurers. This one is a witchy gay high camp horror that is so smart and so edgy and funny and heartfelt and loving. So that sounds like a good time. I do think this one technically is YA. We have several YA choices on here. And the last thing would be to read a book in one sitting, and that could be any of them. 19 bucks. I have to try and read 2 books a day for 10 days. I could do that. I got it. We could do this. Anyway, if you are interested in joining us, head on over to Patreon, join the Book Besties tier, and be sure to connect your Discord to the Patreon so that you can get access to the exclusive section. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited about it. The besties already are amazing. We've been talking back and forth about our TBRs and how excited we are. I would love for more people to join us if that's something that you've been interested in doing. Now's your chance. And for the besties, I will see you tomorrow. This is going to be a fun one. Thank you for being amazing. Shout out to all of my amazing besties. Until next one, happy reading. Bye!